want to start this morning off with a question. Would you mind elaborating on the 24th degree and the 1 in 40, where it states, what was his idea to make devil? It was predicted that he would make a devil in the year 8,400 before he was born. So he was born with a determined idea to make a people to rule for 6,000 years. You mind adding on and elaborating on that degree, God? Peace.
Assalamu alaikum, shalom, hotep, peace, peace, salam Allah, peace to the gods and earths, peace to the gods and goddesses, peace to the 5%, the poor righteous teachers. Special salute to my beloved brother and comrade in the struggle for freedom, justice, and equality, brother born unique out Jersey. The brother sent me a crack little text of I don't even know how long, but probably like 3 to 5 days ago, somewhere around there. But I be getting so much stuff, you know what I mean, in my phone, so much stuff I have to do, so many emails, so many things take priority. You know what I mean? We got brothers and sisters in the prison system that are in dire straits, that need real help. We need real laborers, real soldiers, real money, real wisdom, you know what I mean? So the struggle continues, family. You know what I mean? I've been in it for over 40 years and I'm still here. You know what I mean? But the God born, he wanted to build on that lost found Muslim lesson number 2, specifically section number 24, I believe, yeah, number 24 on Dr. Yakub Malik Shabazz. Yakub means to change or to keep on changing, and Malik or Malik means king or master. And Shabazz doesn't mean God, but it means godly or godlike, according to the life-giving teachings of Messenger Elijah Muhammad. So basically, today we're going to take and build on that a little bit. Those of you that may know me, that that have my old books, you know what I mean? I know a lot of brothers and sisters from the Belly of the Beast got those elaboration of Allah's lessons from back in the 80s. You know what I mean? We went into that science in there, but today we're going to bring it up to par, if you will. Now, I mean, one of the things that I have to do as a minister is take all those tons and reams of old literature. We was typing back then. We had manual typewriters. When I say man, a lot of people don't understand like the trauma we went through. Look at my hand, Katir. The devils physically cut this finger off. I had to get pins put in there to put this back together. This thumb right here, my doctor told me, yo, you have to stop writing and typing. He gave me some type of brace back in the 80s to lock my whole hand and thumb all up to stop me from writing and typing, because I used to write so much. I developed what they called back then carpal tunnel syndrome. I literally tore the ligaments all up in my hand. My physical could not keep up with the mental. You know what I mean? And the doctor was like, yo, you got to quit typing and writing. I use ink pens where they literally run out of ink and I keep it going. You know what I mean? So it was funny, but it wasn't funny. It was definitely physically painful. You know what I mean? But I was like, I just gotta learn how to write with my left hand. I gotta learn how to type with my left hand. You know what I mean? So the struggle continues. You know what I mean? We made it happen. I'm glad that I took the disposition that I did, because I wouldn't have got so much work done. So actually, for me, it's actually easier to go back and just I could literally go back and take 1 page of that old raw, I mean, and just build on that for like hours. You know what I mean? So our lesson, Lost Found Miles, lesson number 2 from Prophet W.D. Fard, known as the Supreme Allah God in person, and his first, last, and only messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, teaches us February 20th, 1934. Now, I ain't physically go to my lessons in a long time, Now, I mean, I'm pretty sure if I was to recite my lessons, I had some words and stuff wrong in there. I had some the orders out of place, but I still know my lessons. You know what I mean? But what was his idea of making the devil? The messenger teaches us it was predicted of him that he would make a devil 8,400 years before he was born. This is before he was born. So he was born with a determined idea. In the Arabic language, idea is Katir. He was born with a determined Katir, a determined idea. His left temple and his right temple, he was born with that. And we're going to go into that atom of mind type of science, if you will. Now, he was born with a determined idea to make a people to rule for 6,000 years. Okay. So that was the premise of Dr. Yakub Malik Shabazz. So we're going to take y'all to Message to the Black. Now I'm gonna come from two primary sources. Message to the Black Man and Our Savior Has Arrived. My Our Savior Has Arrived is so old and raggedy. But you see, this is Our Savior Has Arrived from 1974. And this is Message to the Black Man in America, 1965. So these are the two books we're going to share with you, some quotes directly from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Why? I always tell y'all, only the messenger's message can guide you through this age of mess. Listen, when I say that, it has connotations, if you will. Some people get locked in 1965, 1975. They are the ones that have all these quotes in their head, all this wisdom in their head, no money in their pockets. Can't pay the electric bill. Spooky, all right? Then you have those that literally be like, oh, I'm smarter than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This stuff from the 60s and the 70s, in this age of Googleologists, I just know more than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. No, you don't. I mean, no, you don't. I mean, you don't know more than Master Farad Muhammad. You don't know more than the 24 scientists. You don't know more than the last messenger of Allah. You just don't. Now, you may know more than me, some ministers, some captains, secretaries, private soldiers, whatever. Know what I mean? But when it comes to the messenger's message, I see all these pseudosciences popping up, all these wizards and warlocks and witches that's casting all this tricknology before y'all, and y'all going for the okey doke. At the end of the day, when the real devil show their horns and pitchfork, when the real devil start like, yo, all that stuff y'all was talking about, y'all don't understand we the devil for real. See, this is what the devil going to do. The devil going to show the black, brown, yellow, and red nations the devil is real. See, we seem to forget. We don't really forget. We want to forget. We hope, I mean, that the colonizers had a change of heart. It's going to be absolute chaos. Hell is going to erupt. Sad to say. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm doing everything I can to stave it off and, wake people up and make sure that my family is as secure as probably necessary for that day. You don't want to pray for that day because it's going to catch many of our loved ones lagging behind. Now, I mean, the Bible puts it like this. When the angels came to Sodom and Gomorrah, now, I mean, the angels had one primary idea, one primary instruction. Like, listen, whatever y'all do, don't look back. That's it. You can't look back. Why? Because hindsight is 20/20 vision. So Lot's wife, when she looked back, she turned into a pillar of salt. She couldn't move forward no more. She didn't turn sweet. She didn't turn to sugar. She turned bitter. She turned into a statue of salt. Not literally, I mean, but symbolically, you will become bitter by seeing the disease, the poverty, the addictions, the divisions, the slander, the chaos. It just had you so psychologically suffering from depression. You'd be like, man, I'm just going back to the grave. I'm just going to get high. I'm going to get drunk. I'm going back to Jesus. I'm going to that mystery God. I'm going to integrate. I'm going, now I mean, the integrate with the devil himself, herself. Now I mean, but when you take and keep the messenger's message out front, it'll literally guide you through all the darkness and bring you back to the light within yourself. All right. So let's turn to page, we're going to start on page, let's go to page 108. All right. Because the God born unique, you know what I mean? He's talking about that Yakub's determined Katir, his idea. It's a determined idea. All right. How do that come about? How do you literally program the atoms of our universe? It's elementary if you understand your thoughts are things. I know millions of people. All the big money is with The Secret, The Power, know what I mean, and all that stuff, the movies, the so-called experts, know what I mean, and they basically teach you spookism. They take the power out of you and give you crumbs. They don't tell you you are God. You are a goddess, period. See, that's why people hate. They be like, what you mean, Islam, Allah, peace, God, goddess? What the heck? Allah, A-L-A, is Allah, God, masculine. And when you put A-H on an Arabic name, it makes it feminine. What is you talking about? Now, I mean, Malik is masculine. Malika is feminine. Jamil is male. Jamila is female. A-H, Allah, God, Allah with the A-H at the end, masculine and feminine. Yahweh, Yah, and is masculine and feminine. Yahweh is masculine and that's the what our ancestors call in ancient Kemet, the universal law of gender. We'll get into that. Study the ancient. If those of you that may not be familiar with it, in fact, go on YouTube and look at it's a good video you should check out called the Kabbalion. I don't know the exact word, but just put in the Kabbalion, K-Y-B-A-L-I-O-N, the Kabbalion. All right. Not the Kabbalah, the Jewish mysticism. It's the Kabbalah. It's just 7 universal mathematical principles. The message teaches us real Islam is mathematics. Mathematics is Islam. All right. So we're going to cover that. But we want to show you how our story operates. We call our story in this day and time his story. All right. Or the colonizer's story. Now, we want you to understand is one basic premise. You have a lot of people that consider themselves historians, all right? Understand this science right here. History is not a science. See, history is not a science. History does not stand up to the scientific method. You can't investigate history. See, people misunderstand what we mean by history. Like we pass information down from father to son. You know what I mean? We pass information down from mother to daughter. We pass information down from elders to the youth, from generation to generation, from nation to nation. But in reality, history as we know it is not a science. All right, so that's one important thing to understand. But let us take and turn our attention to page 108 of Message to the Black Man in America by Messenger Elijah Muhammad about how this determined idea works in these cycles. Okay. The messenger says, and I quote him, "One can't judge them now, for they are not their own selves." Talking about our people. "We, the original nation of earth, says Allah, the maker of everything, sun, moon, and stars, and the race called white race are the writers of the Bible and Quran. We make such history once every 25,000 years. When such history is written, it is done by 24 of our scientists. One acts as judge or God for the others, and 23 actually do the work of getting up the future of the nation. And all is put into one book, and at intervals where such and such part or portion will come to pass, that people will be given that part of the book through one among that people from one of the 12 major scientists. As it is then called, as it is then called a scripture. Important point. Which actually means script of writing from something original or book. There is a significance to the number 24 scientists in the 25,000 years. The number 24 scientists used is in accordance with the hours in our day and the measurement of the circumference of our planet around the equator and in the region of our poles, Arctic and Antarctic oceans. Our planet is not exactly 25,000 miles in circumference. It is 24,896. And we, according to astronomy, don't have a full 24-hour day, but near that, 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds. The change made in our planet's rotation at the poles is about 1 minute a year and takes 25,000 years to bring about a complete change in the region of the poles. The actual poles are inclines 23.5 degrees to the plane of its orbit. The original black nation used 23 scientists to write the future of that nation for the next 25,000 years, and the 24th is the judge or the one God, Allah. Allah taught me that once upon a time they made history to last for 35,000 years. Let me stop here and say this. My people must know the truth, the God's truth. The time is at hand. So here, let's look at this for a minute. Messages gave us some valuable jewels. I mean, he explained to us that we have 24 scientists, 12 major scientists, 12 minor scientists. And they write history, 1 year for each mile of the planet Earth. And that technically we don't have 25,000 miles in our circumference of the planet Earth or the site for the planet, but near that, 24,896 miles. And technically we don't have a 24-hour day, but near that, 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds in a solar day, according to our 99 actual fact lesson, and 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds in a solar year, according to 99 actual facts by Prophet W.D. Fard in 1933. Now, that same lesson, number 24, that teaches us what was his idea of making the devil, it teaches us it was predicted of him that he would make a devil 8,400 years before he, meaning Dr. Yakub himself, the God Yakub, was actually physically manifested or physically born. So he was actually born with this subconscious thought. Somebody programmed the very atoms of creation and set up a mathematical cause and effect to make sure that this particular baby, when it came out as mother, it wouldn't be a female. It absolutely would be a male. It absolutely would be deformed. It was born with an 8-ounce brain. The original children had 7.5-ounce brain. It had a half-ounce brain bigger than normal. Okay, this child would be known as the big-headed scientist. Think about that. Think of the trauma Dr. Yakub Malik Shabazz went through. All the gelling and persecution and the government looking at him like he a terrorist. I mean, everybody looking at him like he a criminal. And he's the wisest man on the face of the planet Earth, covering 24,896 miles. Yakub is born to do a particular work. He's born to fulfill the will of alcoholic, the creator, or what scientists would call, he's the manifest energy. He was to bring the mental into the material. Religious people would say he would do the will of the creator of all creation. They call him Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, Ra, Amun, whatever name you want to, nomenclature you want to use. But let us take and turn our attention to, in fact, before we do that, let's reflect just a little bit on Lost Found Miles lesson number 2 with this writing the history in cycles, 24 scientists, 12 major scientists, 12 minor scientists. Now, I mean, 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 hours a day, 12 hours at night, the 12 months in a year has always been the mathematics of the law according to the Holy Quran. So basically, in plain language, when you listen carefully to what we just got finished reading from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he's showing you that the real book, the real Holy Quran Bible, oh my goodness, y'all ready for this? The real book is our universe, which covers 238 continuous 640 quadrillion miles. The sun, 93 million miles away, is a book. The moon, 240,000 miles away, is a book. It's knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in every atom, every plant that grows. When you see a root grow straight down, that's a tap root. When the root like a tree spreads out, that's a fibrous root. The universe is so Islamic. It's so mathematical. The positive force adds and multiplies. God is righteous. Satan, Set, the negative, the electron cloud, whatever nomenclature, how you want to say it. I mean, according to your language, your culture, your religion, your organized religion, whatever, your spiritual science, we're basically saying the 10%, the rich, the slave makers of the poor, who teach the poor lies. The 85%, mentally dead, of course, and then the 5%, the poor righteous teachers. The 5%, the poor righteous teachers. The atom, the proton, the positive force, the poor righteous teacher. The 5%, the minority that's going to change the whole universe. They're mixed where? With the 85%, the mentally deads. This is what makes our job so hard. But that's nature. You know what I mean? We grin and bear it. But outside the cipher is what? That 2,000 times heavier electron cloud, the negative, the 10%, the rich, the slave makers of the poor, who teach the 85% who's mentally dead in such a way with technology that they easily lead them in the wrong direction, but they hard to lead them in the right direction because they believe whatever the devil tell them. So here we have a planet that didn't have borders and boundaries at one time. Later on, it developed 13 tribes. The messenger said what? We just read it. He said, we used to write history what? Let me find that again real quick. Let me see if I can find that. I'm going to show it to you too. I ain't going to just read it. You see it? He said, look at this. It's right here. I'm going to put my finger right under the word. We used to write history for 35,000 years. Why? Because the messenger teaches us mathematically 66 trillion years ago, one of our scientists had a determined idea. He wanted everybody on the planet Earth to speak the same dialect. And when he saw that his math was wrong, he decided he was going to kill everybody on Earth. Think about this. This evil, there is nothing in the history of the devil's world that can compare to what this black God intended, his niyat, what his intentions were for the whole planet Earth. His intention was to kill 5 billion people on the planet Earth. And he drilled into the earth and he set off his dirty bomb and he killed himself and his whole tribe of people. The message teaches back then we had 13 tribes. Before that, we had no tribes. We just had a law, the original man. We just had the law, the original people. But we became divided amongst ourselves without Yakub's technology. So you can't hate the God Yakub. Yakub came in and fulfilled prophecy. He did that which was written. If it's written, family, it's going to come to pass, whether you understand it or not, okay? So Dr. Yakub Malik Shabazz, he taught his followers to come amongst us and start gossiping, whispering, the slinking devil, the jinn that whispers into the very hearts of men and women, not physical hearts, but mental hearts, into the core of your thinking, you see, and get you to think that the angels are demons and that the gods are devils and that heaven is hell. They literally turned the whole world upside down and have the masses in this day and time completely blind, deaf, and dumb. Meaning they can't see the truth. They can't teach this truth. They don't want to hear this truth. They don't want nothing to do with the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They take this message to the black man and sit it down somewhere and they be like, man, I haven't touched that book in a month, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Lessons? I haven't picked up my lessons, studied my lessons in a year, 10 years, 20 years. You see? It's not that they forgot the lesson. They never studied the lessons. So when they hear somebody teaching the teachers in Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it sounds like a new teaching to them. Why? Because they was taught by the 10%, the rich, those that are in this for moolah. They in it for the white man's money. They do not believe that the supreme law God came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. They do not believe that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his first, last, and only messenger. You see? A lot of people say that, but they really don't truly believe it in their heart. They say with their mouths that which is not in their heart. They're lip professors, as the Holy Quran puts it. Okay? So when you come with the messenger's original, divine, and direct teachings, and it's so mathematical, like you're not guessing, you're giving them the source. You're telling them the time and where to check it out. They still will reject you. Don't take it personal, because they rejected Master Fard Muhammad. They rejected the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They accepted the devil. And this is why people are in the position and condition that they are in today. The devil's time ended in 1985. 95, devil's still here in charge. 2000, to this very second. Why? The messenger teaches us. Let me try to find this real quick. See, I don't even like telling y'all certain things unless I could back it up, because I know how spooky our people get. All right, so what I'm doing now, I'm taking you to page number 9 of Message to the Black Men in America. Quote, the belief in a God other than man, a spirit, Allah has taught me, goes back into the millions of years. Long before Yakub, the father of the devils, because the knowledge of God was kept as a secret from the public. This is the first time that it has ever been revealed. And we, the poor, rejected, and despised people, are blessed to be the first of all the people of earth to receive this secret knowledge of God. Secret knowledge of God. Secret. Siri. Alimi, Allahi, the secret knowledge of God. If this people, secret knowledge of God, secret, Siri, knowledge, Alimi, of, Ain, God, Allahi, the secret knowledge of the God, the black man is God. The black man is God. This sounds so crazy to you white Jesus worshipers. This sounds so insane to you white light Muslim worshipers. You believe in white supremacy. You believe in the 10% negative force of our universe. And this is why the people don't have no power, no wisdom and force today. Because they think that their power comes from them uniting with other people and going inside of a church, a synagogue, a temple, a masjid or mosque, a university or school. That's not how the original man set this up, family. We sparked the universe before there was a planet Earth. There were no schools. There were no languages. We don't need none of that. All we need is the atom of mind. All we need is the Katir, that determined idea. And that idea, you may not see it made manifest in your physical, temporal lifetime, but in the future's future, that which is uncommon will be common. Think about it. Imagine going back 6,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Look at the people worshiping statues of stone and clay and mud and, worshiping the sun, worshiping the moon, the stars, worshiping ideas and leaders and all this spooky stuff. They do not see God or goddess in the mirror. Just simply don't see it. Because that knowledge for 66 trillion years, that idea was hidden like Masons. The scientists had 24 scientists. 12 of the scientists didn't know who God was. And the 12 that knew God, they was like, we're not telling them who God is. They had brothers that had sons, and they was like, we're not telling my nephew that the black man is God. That information was secret information. You should be so thankful to Allah, God, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, because he is the first and the only black God that came and broke that whole cipher. He like, yo, after me, ain't no more 24 scientists. His thing is like, yo, listen, study your lessons, your blessings. The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. He said to us, let me turn to that real quick, because y'all get all spooked out because y'all be like, oh, my idol God tells me differently. I believe that God is in me. I have to just fast to please my God, and some mystery God somewhere in the cosmos somewhere. Yeah. You're going to wake up eventually. Or you not going to wake up. The message teaches us. And I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you so that you can't, you could reject me. You could act like you don't believe it, whatever. But in your heart of hearts, like, damn, for real, I don't believe the message of teaching. That is the message of teaching. But the person who raised me, or my minister, my captain, my secretary, he or she is spooky. So I'm going to take that spooky version and ignore Master Fard Muhammad. I'm going to ignore the lessons. I'm going to ignore the messenger's books and divine teachings. I'm going to follow hadiths like a spooky FOI and MGT should. And this is how a billion Sunnis got spooked out their minds by not following the Quran, but following hadiths. This is how the Catholic Church, the Protestant Church, they all are worshiping these Easter bunnies and Santa Clauses and all this spooky stuff because they stop studying the word of God. Therefore, God's word can't be bound in their mind. Because in the beginning was the word, and the word was not just with God, the The word was God. Let us look at this here. This is from Our Says of Ra. I want to teach you. Chapter number 10. Word for word. Yesterday, you could not find me. I was so wrapped in the mist that people were trampling on me and they didn't know I was down there in the mud. Imagine that. Imagine seeing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You think, oh, this guy he never went to Harvard or Yale. He's not a college grad. He don't have no bunch of money. You know, he's not a tall guy. He's not a muscular guy. He's not someone special. Know what I mean? They walking all over him, walking all over his teachings. All right. He says, all praise is due to Allah. Allah is all of us. What did you just say, Ali? I got it highlighted. Allah is all of us. Allah is all of us. You who follow the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, you who claim to represent the messenger's message in this age of mess, put that on the front cover of your newspaper, of your book, your magazines, your DVDs, your CDs, whatever way you propagate your teachings. Teach the messenger's teachings. Allah is all of us. Allah is not you. Allah is not him, her, just that one. You see? I've been a minister for 40 years. And I want you to know now, not the ministers, but the FOI and MGT in the future, I'm talking 20, 40, 60, they going to look at the stuff we're talking about as mere child. Like, y'all was corny. That level of comprehension that y'all had, that y'all thought was some fancy, it was weak. They're going to show and prove that Allah is all of us. They're going to show and prove that our people is the God. Period. That we are a nation of gods and goddesses. In ancient Kemet, Black Egypt, the priests did not want you or them to understand that science. They did not want them to understand that in ancient China, in India. Those that knew hid it from those that did not know. That thing was like it is today. In the pimp game, they be like, the game is not to be told, the game is to be sold. You see? So they're not going to put you down. They're not going to empower you. You see? They're not going to empower. They'll take and give you a little degree for a little white man's money. You see what I'm saying? That, because it's a capitalist imperialist system we live in. And the love of money is the root of all evil. You see? So they're not willing to go all out, to give all they have and do all in that power to make sure our people wake up. You see what I'm saying? They're not willing to go through the fire, to be hated, persecuted, bullets flying over your head, wax coming out at you. They ain't built like that. Oh yeah, it's easy to put on your dashiki, your bow tie, your kufi, your fez, your crown. Take your ass in that penitentiary and stand up talking about the black man is God and the white man is the devil, and you talking to the real Aryan nation, Ku Klux Klan. Do that for 10, 20, 30, 40 years to show your commitment to the struggle for freedom, justice, and equality. You see? Is you really willing to give your life and your death and your sacrifices all for Allah? You can say it easy in prayer. Oh, Allah, my life, my death, my sacrifice, all for. It sounds sweet. But when that real devil come, when the real tests come, when the real trials and tribulations come, the message teaches us this message is not for the cowards. It's only protection for the faithful. It's going to be persecution against the righteous stuff. That's all in it. Don't worry about that, family. We won before we even started. I mean, we won before. We can't lose. You feel me? Know what I mean? But the message teaches us Allah is all of us. So this Dr. Yakub, he was born with this determined idea because these 24 scientists, the 12 major scientists and the 12 minor scientists, they wrote his history 8,400 years before he was physically born. You'd be like, what? You have that power today, fam? You'd be like, okay, it didn't happen yet, but in my mind's eye, I see, I'll take the book and lift it up with my right hand. I'll put it over my right. No, in fact, I'm going to put it over my left shoulder and drop it. But when it hits, it's going to break the atoms and crack the atmosphere and make a sound wave traveling 1,120 feet per second. Exactly. And it's going to happen in 7 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The mental was made manifest. You had, that's elementary stuff. You're in the present. And if you think about it, you can remember brushing your teeth this morning, taking a shower, taking a bath, putting your socks on. You can see the past in your present. You can see in 7 seconds, message to the black man in America back on the TV screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Was that spooky? Did I use magic? Soothsaying? I use common sense, cause and effect. Mathematics, the Kabbalion as they call it. You see? The message teaches us Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam. So when you read in Lost Found Muslim lesson number 2, what was his, meaning Dr. Yakub Malik Shabaz's idea of making a devil? And the message teaches us it was predicted of him that he would make a devil 8,400 years before he was born. So he was born with a determined Katir or idea to make a people, not a person, but a whole nation of people. And this mathematical phenomena is also outlined in the messenger's other book, his last book. Let's look at it. Now, this is from the chapter titled Time. This is page number 12 right here. I'm going to read from, family. All right. The messenger teaches us this date is taken from the beginning of the present cycle of world history writings by 24 black scientists, of which only 23 actually do the writing, and the 24th one acts as judge of the writings of the other 23. This takes place once every 25,000 years. In this history is written everything that will come to pass for the next 25,000 years. The original scriptures of the Bible and Holy Quran were taken from it and revealed by word of mouth and inspiration to prophets. We are now in the 16,000 year of this cycle and have 9,956 years to be finished before the next cycle. Now, remember, the message said 9,900. Notice, I don't care what branch of the Nation of Islam you're from. 90%, look at this number, 90% of the FOI scholars, private soldiers, squad leaders, inspectors, investigators, lieutenants, second lieutenants, first lieutenants, assistant captains, captains, student ministers, assistant ministers, will all take what the messenger said out of it. They're going to take the COINTELPRO version and give you the grafted lesson that says 9,080 years. The messenger said 9,900, 9,900. Why is the 900 there? Because your math will not add up if you do not have that 900 in there. Let me turn back to this. I don't want to get too much in this, but I'm doing this for the future so that the future be like, yeah, 99.99% was absolutely wrong for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years because they simply did not follow the messenger's message in this age of mess. This is why we get so confused and discombobulated. Let me quote the messenger again. Let me turn to this here. That was the chapter on the time, right? All right, that's page number 12. All right, I want you to look at this real quick. I got it written and highlighted in green from probably like 30 years ago or something. But the messenger says 9,956 years to be finished before the next cycle. Now, why would he say that? Because this article was written in 1958. It's published in this book in 1974. The messenger's message is 9,900. These grafted lessons took the 900 out of the lessons. Oh my goodness, it's sad, but this is what we gotta struggle against. Now, the message teaches us that these 24 scientists, they lived on average about 500 Earth years during that 6,000 year period. In other places, I give you the whole science of that for the past 6 trillion years and all that, but I'm not going to get into all that right now. Short version, there's 12 major scientists, 12 minor scientists. They pass that information down from father to son. And they've been doing that for over 66 trillion years. All right. As I showed you earlier, at one time, the circumference of the Earth was written for 35,000 years because before the deportation of the moon, we had a planet that was 35,000 years or 35,000 miles, and not like it is now with 25,000 miles. We have 25,000 miles. So instead of writing history for 35,000 years, they now write this for 25,000 years. So you find these ancient civilizations in ancient Kemet, Egypt, and you study the people in South America, Central America, North America. They had these calendars that was just so accurate. They had these Chinese, not that they was perfect or spooky. They were mathematically calculated over eons of time. Not 6,000 years, not 1,000,000 years, not during the time of Lucy, but for trillions of years. Black people have been all over the planet Earth. Trillions of years. You taking a starting point thinking that, oh, black people started in Egypt. No, we didn't. They started in Samaria. No, we didn't. We started in Mecca. No. The said nation Islam has no birth record. It has no beginning nor ending. You're wasting your time trying to find the origin of the original man, the God of the universe. Come on, brother. Come on, sister. I mean, think about that. They told you the day was your birthday. They told you that when you came out your mama, you was born. No, you wasn't. They lied to you. You was alive for 9 months while you was still in your mama. You was moving and kicking and eating and screaming and pooping and talking. And you was alive as an amoeba in the testicles of your father. And you did not begin there. You was alive in the hydrogen and oxygen and H2O, the very water of the planet Earth. And you did not begin there. You was alive in the very carbon and hydrogen and the thara, as the Holy Quran calls it in the Arabic. In Surah 99, he or she who does a thara or atom's weight of good, positive, proton, 5%, they shall see it. And he or she that does a thara or atom of negative, the 10%, rich slave makes it the poor, they will see that too. And what? The judgment. What judge? The judgmental. You will judge yourself. What do our lessons tell us? 17 ways to the Islamic culture by Messenger Elijah Muhammad. Judging is for Allah. If you must judge, let him judge himself. Think about that, family. Think about that for one moment. Let's take and turn to Al Says Arrive, page number 19 real quick. Let me share something with y'all. Page number, talk about this Yakub. Now, again, show it to you again. I hope I remember to reverse this camera. Usually, you know, I'll be busy. This stuff I be doing is like freestyles. I just throw stuff together, but it's not really throwing it together. The information is relevant. It's important. You know what I mean? But the message teaches us the angels ain't come to dispute no truth. Think about that. You know what I mean? He teaches us in Al Says Arrive Theology Time that they're going to shut their mouths to him. Read that Fall of America. They're going to shut their mouth because intuitively, the people going to know he or she knows, and they don't. All right, let's look at this. Page 19. The messenger says, quote, our 66 trillion years from the moon have proven a great and wise show of the original power to build wonders in the heavens and earth. 6,000 years ago, or to be more exact, 6,600 years ago, as Allah taught me, our nation gave birth to another God whose name was Yakub. He started studying the life germ of man to try and make a new creation or new man, which our 24 scientists had foretold 8,400 years before the birth of Mr. Yakub. And the scientists were aware of his birth before he was born, as they are today of the intentions or ideas, the Katir, or ideas of the present world. Let's look at something about this God Yakub here for a moment. Now we would like to come from Message to the Black Man in America. I'm now going to read to you from, let me see where I'm going to start at on this. Let's start at page 110. Showing this determined idea of Dr. Yakub here. The messenger teaches us, our 66 trillion years from the moon has proven a great and wise show of the original power to build wonders in the heavens and earth. 6,000 years ago, or to be more exact, 6,600 years ago, as the law taught me, see the similarities to what he said in 74 and Al Says Arrive. Our nation gave birth to another God. Our nation gave birth to another God. The messenger is calling Yakub. Look at it for yourself. Don't think I'm making it up. The messenger is calling Dr. Yakub the God of his time. Why is that strange to you? Because you don't remember the messenger's message in his age of mind. He told us this. He said, the black man is God. Every time you look at the black man, you're looking at God. God only means supreme being. Supreme only means the highest in authority. Being means to exist. Supreme being is not a supreme belief. You could believe in the Wizard of Oz because they got you tricked because you can't see what's behind that white curtain of technology. You don't see the scientists controlling and manipulating the media and the nations around the world today. You forgot that America was a so-called republic, and now they got it like, oh, y'all have to vote because y'all need us. But if y'all vote for somebody we don't like, we're going to use the electoral college and say your vote don't even count. You see? This is how the devil has been using technology to divide and conquer and manipulate and rule the entire planet Earth, covering 24,896 miles. The European powers came out of Europe and completely took over Africa, completely took over China, completely took over India, completely took over the tiny islands of the Caribbean, completely took over North America, South America, Central America, Antarctica, Canada, Australia. You'll see some European power came there to the islands of the Philippines and brainwashed those people. It was using the technology taught to them by the god Yakub. And we're here today to let you know that time is up. The time is up. But what holds back the angels' wings and their halos, or that determined Katir, or that determined idea from making manifest the new world order? There is no compulsion in Islam. There is no forced faith. You cannot take a proton and force it into the electron to produce peace. Any scientist, any angel, any messenger, any prophet, any teacher, any 5%er that takes that positive force on a micro level or macro level, you take that proton and you mix it with that electron according to your will, it's going to blow it all up. And it's going to have to reproduce creation all over again. So we don't do that. That's not the way of Allah. Allah is peace. Allah is salim, peace, the essence of peace. Peace by nature, you see? So let me read this. I'm going to reread this part again. Remember, this is page, so you said 110, Message to the Black Man in America. Our 66 trillion years from the moon has proven a great and wise show of the original power to build wonders in the heavens and earth. 6,000 years ago, or to be more exact, 6,600 years ago, as Allah taught me, our nation gave birth to another God. I'm going to put my finger on that word so you see it, so I'm not making this up. Another G-O-D, capital G-O-D, God. Another God whose name was Yakub. Another God whose name was Yakub. Now, when you read your book of Genesis in the Bible, your preacher ain't going to tell you this. Read it for yourself. Look up Jacob and look up Laban and be like, I heard Ali talking this crap one time. He talking about Laban means white. And you know that Jacob is the same name as Yakub, the God. And Yakub, according to the book of Genesis, or genes is, or the book of genetics, or the generation of Isis, he's going to graft these animals, black, brown, yellow, red, and white. So why are we surprised at the insights of the Most High Elijah Muhammad. Now I'm gonna touch on something real briefly and leave it at that. Now, I mean, I covered this in other places, but I don't want to. That's a whole nother subject, a whole nother science, if you will. Short version. History, I told you, is not a science. History, according to the historians, Moses frees the slaves from bondage in Egypt. Allah, his messenger, said, that's a lie. The real Moses or Musa civilized the devils when they were in the caves and hillsides of Europe. History teaches us after Moses, the prophet Jesus was crucified on a cross. Master Muhammad and the messenger teaches us that's a lie. The real Jesus got stabbed in his heart by a Roman soldier. And the rigor mortis was instantaneous. So he died in the form of a cross, but he never in his life died on a cross. The historians, the college graduate historians, the scholars, the historians that study history for 40, 50, 60 years will tell you all these hadiths and all these sealed nectars and all these books, thousands of them, on the birth and life and death of the Katim Nabi, the seal of the prophets, Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our thoughts of peace be upon the last prophet. And we believe he's the last prophet. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Master Muhammad teaches us that history they talking about is a lie. The real Prophet Muhammad thought he could reform the white folks. And he was such a loving man that he gave so much of himself trying to make peace between the gods and the devils. It caused him to have heart problems. And he died of a heart attack. History is not a science in the Nation of Islam. It's not a science. The historians be like, Sir John Hawkins, you couldn't have took and put you over here in 1555. He never even got over here. Then you study his cousin and him. Sir Francis Drake was his cousin. But when you study Sir John Hawkins' actual journals and understand the European powers at that time, and they basically saying, yo, not Sir John, we don't want no pirates. We don't want no slave catchers kidnapping nobody and using slaves unless they gonna break us off. It wasn't that the crown prince and the crown queens and kings, was cared about black, brown, yellow, and red people. But from a financial perspective, the powers that be was like, we don't want these little riffraffs running around messing our money up. I mean, Sir John Hawkins and them is illegally importing and exporting slaves. And they supposed to pay taxes on each individual slave. So they're not going to write the truth down in their journals. They're not going to ask for permission when they be doing this illegal stuff. It's like bootlegging in this day and time. It's like selling coke and crack and fentanyl and all. They be like, man, they not coming out telling you their hustle. They getting paper right now. That's how it was in the 1500s. You had all kind of technology taking place, you see? So, the messenger goes on to explain about this god Yakub. All right? He says, I quote it again, our nation gave birth to another god whose name was Yakub. He started studying the life germ of man to try making a new creation, new man, whom our 24 scientists had foretold 8,400 years before the birth of Mr. Yakub. and the scientists were aware of his birth and work before he was born, as they are today of the intentions or ideas of the present world. According to the word of Allah to me, quote, Mr. Yakub was seen by the 23 scientists of the black nation over 15,000 years ago. They predicted that in the year 8,400, that was in our calendar year before this world of the white race, this man, Yakub, would be born 20 miles from the present holy city, Mecca, Arabia. And that at the time of his birth, the satisfaction and dissatisfaction of the people would be 70% satisfied, 30% dissatisfied. And that when this man is born, he will change civilization, the world, and produce a new race of people who would rule the original black nation for 6,000 years, from the 9,000 year to the 15,000 year. After that time, the original black nation would give birth to one whose wisdom, knowledge, and power would be infinite. One whom the world would recognize as being the greatest and mightiest God since the creation of the universe. And that he would destroy Yakub's world and restore the original nation or ancient nation into power to rule forever. This mighty one is known under many names. He has no equal. There never was one like him. He's referred to in the Bible as God Almighty, and in some places as Jehovah, the God of gods, and the Lord of lords. The Holy Quran refers to him as Allah, the one God. Besides him, there is no God, and there is none like him. Think about that. There is none like him. Why would the Quran teach that? Why would the Quran teach that there is none like Huwa? Him. You see? It teaches us not about Ru Allah. Ru in Arabic means spirit or spook. The Quran never speaks positively about Ru Allah. Ru Allahi, the spirit God, spook God, the mystery God, the ghost God. The Quran teaches us Huwa Allahi, he the God. That male pronoun. You feel pretty cheap talking about she the God, it the God, that the God, they the God. Huwa Allahi. Our lessons teaches us what? Who made the Holy Quran a Bible? How long ago? Will you sit up at home and wait for that mystery God to bring you food? Huh? Think about that. Who made, who wrote out, who articulated, who transmitted, who transliterated, who passed down this information, this alimi? People be like, why you always, what is that, a gang sign? This, see this pinky? That's Aleph. In Arabic, that's A. See the L, this right here? This is L. See the head? That's Meen, Alif Lam Meen. The Holy Quran consider this the mystic letters. But basically it just means, I Allah am the best knower. There is no spook or spirit anything. There's nothing spooky, family. Everything is real. The Quran is 100% true if you understand it. The Bible, according to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1972, Theology of Time, he asked himself a rhetorical question. He said, is the Bible a lie, Elijah? And he answered, no, if you understand it. If you understand it, family. We bear witness that there is only one creator of creation. But don't try to make the creator some type of ghost, some type of spooking spirit. You see, we bear witness that Prophet Muhammad, 1400 years ago, thoughts of peace be upon him, is the Katim Nab. He's the seal of the prophets. The Elijah Muhammad is not our prophet. The Holy Quran teaches us what? Every nation gets a Rasul, a messenger. Not a Nabi, not a prophet. Every nation gets a Rasul, messenger. How do you know your nation got a messenger? Because the Holy Quran teaches us that Allah would never send a messenger to a nation unless he speaks the language of that nation. You can't have an Arab-speaking Nabi prophet teaching people in the wilderness of North America. We wouldn't understand what the heck he's talking about. He could be telling us pure truth. We just don't understand. We don't speak Arabic. We don't speak Arabic. I mean, but we can understand the Most High Elijah Muhammad. How can he make that connection? Because he been through what we've been through. The good, the bad, and the ugly. You see? So, let's look at this. This man, Yakub, born 20 miles from the holy city, Mecca. The Holy Quran calls it Becca, the place of gathering our unity. Chapter 30 of the Holy Quran is called Al-Rum, the Romans. I mean, the blue-eyed grafted devils, the pale-faced man. When the grafted devils came in there, they just spooked Islam all up, spooked Judaism all up, spooked the Hindus all up, spooked the Buddhists all up, spooked the Catholics. Anything they touch, they spook it up. Because what they're going to do, they know the black, brown, yellow, and red man is God on the planet Earth. They want you, spooky 85% neutral people, to understand you must worship white men as gods. Yeah. You've been worshiping white men as gods your whole life. So were your parents and your parents' parents. Always worship the white man as God. You might call him Jesus. You might call him the CEO of a corporation. You might call him a founding father. You might call him a $100 bill. You might call him a White House, a white picket fence, whatever. But white supremacy made sure that all over this planet, the black, brown, yellow, and red majority worship the white minority as gods and goddesses. So when you hear the angels of Allah in person teaching black people that they are gods and goddesses, we're not here teaching some new stuff. We're here to remind them of themselves. We're here to wake them back up to the time so that they can be their true selves. Let's look at Al Says Arrive, page number 116 for a moment. About this guy, Yakub. Again, I'll show it to you first. So when you reject it, or if you reject it, you know you're not rejecting what I'm saying. You're rejecting the original divine direct teachings from 1974. I'll say it's right from Messenger Elijah Muhammad. Page number 116. The messenger says, and I quote, "What we will direct our attention to now is the type of government and people who will replace the present government and people. Since this is a wicked world and its making was not based and made upon righteousness, we cannot expect it to endure any longer than the limited time of 6,000 years. For at the end of 6,000 years, the old world meets with the God Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever, whose wisdom, might, and power are greater than the God, Yakub, who made the world white race. Think about that. Master Fard Muhammad, his knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is going to activate the Katir or idea in your sons and daughters in the future. And you're going to see, you're going to be giving birth to true and living gods and goddesses. Their way of thinking is not going to be like ours. Their way of acting is not going to be like ours. Oh, it's going to be a great and dreadful time, as the Bible puts it, when Elijah turned the hearts of the children back to the fathers. So, to our beloved brother, Born Unique, thank you for the question, brother. I hope this answers. And remember, as I close out, only the messenger's message can guide you through this age of mess. The struggle continues. Salam Allah. Peace to the gods and goddesses.